There is a dreadful price we pay when we indulge our tendencies toward rigidity and control. When we follow the advice, Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including people, including meditation teachers. When we follow the advice of rigid and controlling teachers to over-focus and over-analyze, we most assuredly overwork our medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortices to the point of triggering our amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. However, when we rely upon our sympathetic nervous system to passively notice whatever comes up, and our parasympathetic nervous system to relax, not only do we calm the anxiety and aggression of our amygdala, but we gently stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. This is the Dzogchen Sende Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For multiple decades, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I might be of service to you. It is Ray Skywalker early Sunday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. I'm going to turn to my friends on the clock app and invite them to attend. And remind my friends on the Tube app that the moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that support meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about every 15 minutes or so. If you can see text on your screen as well as my silly face, then you know you're on the Tube app. I have to speak in code because we're battling algorithms here, folks. One moment, if you please. So let us begin by transmuting selfish dread into universal compassion. We begin, so the Buddha taught there were 4 bases of mindfulness: the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, and the mental. Let us begin with the circumstantial. Let us bring the circumstantial into the path of universal compassion. It's simple. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite, let's phrase it this way. Let's take the 6-syllable phrase, the 6-syllable wish. Soothe peril for all lots. And let's recite it silently and mentally in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. Let us touch the tip of our left index finger to our thumb and rest our wrist on or near our left knee. Let us count upon the creases of our right fingers, advancing our thumb during each inhalation. Soothe peril for all lots. Let us bring the physical into the path of universal compassion. Soothe illness for all forms. We're not working magic. We're not actively visualizing. We're just silent. We're just playing with words in harmony with our breathing. Let us bring the interpersonal into the path of universal compassion. Soothe cruelty for all speech. We conclude by bringing the mental into the path of universal compassion. Soothe dullness for all minds. And now we shift gears. We come now to, we depart from passive contemplation and return now to actual mindfulness and meditation. As we passively notice air enter our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the verb watch. That's how we practice mindfulness. As we silently and mentally, as we passively notice air exiting our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the verb rest. This is how we practice meditation. It's just that simple. A useful tool to help us practice this is the act of gently inviting our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at the crown of our head. The easiest way for us to do that is for us to play with the Sati Pasadi Mudra, the Pasadi Mudra or meditation gesture. How do we do that? Simple. We use the tip of our left index finger to support the lower knuckle of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Now, so this is an excellent opportunity for us to count or keep track of our first bonus set, of inhalation and exhalation. To keep track of our next 12 inhalations for a total of 13, we return our attention to our right hand. Every time we inhale, every time we silently and mentally recite the verb watch during our inhalation, let's advance our right thumb across our fingers, beginning with the lower set of creases on our right little finger and concluding with the higher set of creases on our right index finger. Together, let us practice right now. It took only a little more than 1 minute to count these 13 inhalations, or I should say these 12 inhalations as well as their bonus inhalation. Therefore, if we wish to count to sit and meditate for close to 15 minutes, it could behoove us to count multiple sets of bonus inhalations as well as multiple sets of 12 inhalations each. To do that, let us turn our attention to our left hand. Place the tip of our left thumb on the lower set of creases of our left little finger and count our bonus round, our bonus inhalation. Now let us return to our right hand and count another 12 sets of watching and resting. I should probably say another 12 repetitions of watching and resting. To count our next bonus repetition of watching and resting, we return our attention to our left hand and advance our thumb. To count an additional 12 repetition of watching and resting, we return to our right hand. And now that you know the basic idea, the basic method wherewith we count multiple sets of 13 watching and resting each, let's place our hands palms up in our lap, which I'm sure you will agree is much more comfortable. Although this method of watching and resting might feel a little overwhelming, allow me to remind you that repetition is the mother of skill. Simply come to these live streams approximately once every 12 hours or so, and within a week or two, this skill set, you could master. This method of watching and resting is quite useful when we find ourselves on the precipice of a meltdown. Less dramatically, it's quite useful to practice at night in bed while waiting for sleep to come upon us. And inevitably, it's also useful to practice when we feel that death has come, that we might transition with a modicum of peace. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to automatically access both the tippy top as well as the very bottom of this spinal cord. Doing so helps these two regions work together as a team, functioning as the core of our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we watched during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and as non-graspable as a vast empty void. It would seem that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. Therefore, we must ask the question, what? What is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand? And so we see that neither no-self or emptiness or the panaceas that the rigid and the controlling promised us they were. They're merely temporary and fleeting. They're merely metaphors describing temporary and fleeting phenomena latent within each exhalation. And yet they are useful in helping us cope with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. to count an additional, to gather an additional collection of 13 sets of 13 inhalations each. We return our attention to the tip of our left index finger and slide it up our right index finger until it comes to the middle knuckle. And then just like before, we perform another 13 sets of 13 inhalations each. We switch gears now. We switch gears from watching and resting to feeling and resting. We switch gears from the crown of the head to the chest. We switch gears from Passaddhi Mudra to Sati Mudra, or mindfulness gesture. All we need to do is use our left middle finger, the tip of our left middle finger, to support the lower knuckle of our right middle finger. In addition to effortlessly guiding our energy to our chest, it also helps us keep track of our bonus inhalation. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the verb feel. Let me rephrase this. As we passively notice air swelling our chest, we silently and mentally recite the verb feel. As we passively notice our chest subtly sinking as gently we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the verb rest. Having completed our bonus round, we now collect 12 inhalations on our right hand. In preparation for our next set of 13 inhalations, we place the tip of our left thumb upon the lower set of creases of our left little finger. We keep track of our next set by advancing our left thumb. And now that you get the idea of how to count multiple sets of 13 inhalations each, let us place our hands palms up in our lap, for that is most ergonomically sound. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, which functions as the core of our sympathetic nervous system. It has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly feel all mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. All of them, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the convenient to the arduous, and from the glorious to the grotesque. Let us conclude by transmuting selfish desires into universal love. We do so through the cunning use of 6-syllable loving wishes. There's no need to visualize, there's no need to invoke, there's no need to contrive an emotion. The Buddha taught that there were 4 bases of mindfulness: the mental, the interpersonal, the physical, and the circumstantial. Let's begin with the mental. Let's begin by bringing the mental into the path of universal love. So let us silently and mentally recite the 6-syllable wish, great wisdom for all minds. Let us silently and mentally recite this in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. While performing this, let us touch the tip of our left thumb to its left middle finger and rest our left wrist either near or on our left knee. We'll count on our right hand. Let us bring our experience of the interpersonal into the path of universal love with the silent and mental recitation of the 6-syllable wish, profound love for all speech. For speech, be it literal or figurative, is how we communicate love. Let us bring our experience of the physical into the path of universal love by silently and mentally reciting the 6-syllable wish, profound health for all forms. Let us conclude by bringing our experience of the circumstantial into the path of universal love, by silently and mentally reciting the 6-syllable wish, good fortune for all lots. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. In approximately 10 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's dusk practice of Meditate Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.